Hi, everyone. This is Karen welcoming you to our next mini mindful moment. This is number 17. And our topic for today is how do I deal with a crazy coworker who doesn't like me? And that could be a crazy coworker, it could be a crazy family member, whatever, whatever it is that has you feeling crazy. So let's go ahead. I've got of course, some slides to share with you to give you some background information about this topic that will help make the mindfulness practice make more sense for you. I know for me, as a technically minded people, I work with technically minded people. I like to know the why before I do the how. So hopefully this is helpful for you. And of course, always let me know what is or isn't helpful. So again, today's mindfulness practice is how do I deal with the crazy coworker who doesn't like me? I am Karen Tax, and I'm an executive coach and business consultant. And I focus on leadership, culture, and strategy. With my IMX approach, I guide leaders at all levels of organizations. I don't know if I've shared this with y'all. I almost got fired at one company. This was in the 90s, this is way back, for saying that everybody's a leader in the organization. The head of HR of the company did not like that. So that goes to show how much things have changed since then in a good way. Leaders at all levels to discover their inner power, wielding healthy power is how I think about it. As a result, the clients that I work with gain confidence in their value, their ability to create value, new opportunities, earn more. I had a client last week who landed at a $150 million deal. Wow. That was so exciting to talk with her about. She was over the moon. And to also navigate complex and demanding situations. So, all of this while creating agile work environments where everyone can win. So, one of the ways I do all of this is with mindfulness practices. And my throat's a little sore. I'm going to take a sip. So, mindfulness practices to develop leadership and skills to help you and other people deal with crazy behavior. Goodness. So, to know how to deal with a crazy coworker, you need to know, take a look at what kind of crazy we're talking about. So, traditional suggestions, and I did a search on this. Always kind of whatever topic I'm doing, I do an internet search on it. And some of the suggestions that I saw for dealing with crazy or a toxic person included things like rise above it, use emotional detachment, or just make sure you don't take it personally. But these kinds of suggestions are a part of a pattern of behavior that can create toleration of unacceptable behavior, less engagement while you're trying to get work done, and an inability to deal with conflict. It's kind of like let's just shove crazy into a corner and don't try to make it better or don't try to learn from it. So understanding what kind of crazy we're actually dealing with is a key to be able to respond in a way that actually helps improve the situation. So I would love for you to let me know what your questions are about this topic in the live chat. Let me actually turn this so I can see yes. So I can see you. Please put your questions and comments out there as I'm going through this to let me know. Or of course, you can always do it in the recording later in the comments section. So I started diving deeper, really going into this topic of crazy, what crazy actually means. When my sister got upset with me because of a decision that I had made that she discovered about from somebody else, not through me. She heard through another person, and she felt betrayed that I didn't tell her. My thinking was that this was a personal and private situation, and this wasn't territory that she and I had ever talked about before. And I wasn't sure she could understand what decisions I was making. So I told her, I said, I wasn't ready to talk with you about this. And I actually went back and I looked at the text messages, her response. She was very honest with me, which I actually appreciated her honesty. She said, "Fuck you for thinking that I wouldn't understand." And it's like, well, you're kind of showing me that you're not understanding. So I'm sorry. And this is where I was. Her response to me saying this was she said that I was poison, literally. She said that in a comment. And we went from being having quite a loving relationship when I tried to get the situation moving forward where we could talk. I did a like, let's chat about this. This was 2 years after this had happened. She let me know that she abhorred me, which was, really hurtful and confusing. And frankly, I thought she was crazy. Like, who stays that mad about that kind of situation for that long? So I promise I will get to how this relates to work very, very shortly. And what I eventually realized is that with this situation with my sister, is that it tapped into feelings that she had never dealt with. And these feelings actually didn't have anything to do with me. They were feelings that were, I mean, if you think about it this way, feelings are something that we carry with us, that are in us because of choices that we've made, because of how and what we've experienced in our life. Sometimes it's childhood trauma, sometimes not. I don't actually know what caused the feelings that my sister had because it's not my life. But what I do know is that our interaction opened up a well of pain in my sister that she was not prepared to deal with. So I was indeed poison to her. And I share this story because I think what yeah, when it comes to crazy, everyone is right. What we think of as crazy in others is a projection of our beliefs and our stories, experiences, and emotions. And from my perspective, I was right, am right. From her perspective, she is right. And we each have to decide what's right for us. So I want to dive a little deeper into crazy so that we know how to deal with it in ways that make the situation better. And so it's important to know where to draw the line between behavior that's okay in your workplace, or it could be in your family, and behavior that is not, so that we know how to deal with crazy in optimal ways. And we must be able to have conversations about what's okay and what's not okay. And that's why in the workplace where we need to have agreement about this, it's a great place to practice. We don't always learn how to do this in our families, but workplaces, we kind of have to learn how to do it. So making assumptions is a recipe for disaster, especially for leaders who are setting the context. And making people bad and wrong for not being in agreement about what is needed is also a recipe for disaster. So, part of diversity work and making sure the workplace is fair and equitable for many diverse people is making these kinds of assumptions explicit. And each workplace is going to be different depending on what it is you're trying to achieve, what this okay, not okay is gonna look like for you. It needs to serve your purposes. So when it comes to crazy, we need to know what is truly hostile and toxic. Like, where is it that we go over the line into something that really truly is toxic? So, this slide here is from my Define Your True Self course where we cover, and the situation with my sister is part of why I ended up creating this slide and really trying to understand where is the line here. So this shows the line between crazy, that is the kind of drama that we need to be able to learn from, So I call that opportunities, and crazy that goes over the line into true threats, like physical or emotional abuse that truly creates hostile work environments. And you can see the detail on this slide here. You can pause and read if you want on the recording. So, one of the biggest interpersonal challenges I see people at work and in families facing is thinking of human qualities like having feelings and having big feelings, like having limits, boundaries, right? Like, I can do this, I can't do that. If you want me to keep being generous, I have these limits. Having wants. This is normal human, a part of being human, and being uncomfortable. We think of these human qualities as crazy, or maybe politely what we might call unpleasant, right? So we ignore this stuff. We silently judge it as bad behavior. This is oh so typical, especially in our families when we haven't learned how to deal with this stuff. So when behavior makes us uncomfortable and we call it crazy or bad, this is what's really going on here is a fear-based habit that is about us, not the person we're calling crazy. It's our feelings, it's our discomfort. So, whoops, my hands are flying today. The challenge is that having feelings and limits and wants and having discomfort, all of this is really normal, very normal, healthy human behavior. Most people are simply not skilled at dealing with these behaviors. And then we collectively, as a family or as an organization, make it difficult to simply be human and experience the gifts of being human. So when people blurt out being human after having had enough of nowhere to go with their energy, we call that crazy. Think of all the mental health issues that we have, the depression, the anxiety, the loneliness, the high blood pressure, the way it affects our bodies, right? These are all byproducts of this stuffing. So, experiencing our humanity as a gift requires conscious compassion from a loving community, loving around us. So, said another way, crazy behavior is often simply energy moving within a living system, like a workplace or a family that's gotten jammed up. So, like on the left, there's that stream that's flowing. On the right, it's a geyser going off because it's been under pressure and it's releasing the emotions. I always think of emotions as water. I associate with the water element. And so this geyser of emotions coming out in interesting and reactive ways is a sign that there has been suppression. So one of the tenets of organization development is that behavior is rarely solely caused by an individual. Systems shape individual behaviors. That's why culture, leadership, strategy is so important because we're consciously cultivating the systems that shape this behavior. And interestingly, the opposite is true as well. Together, individuals ultimately create systems. So, understanding the dynamic between individuals and systems and any kind of group is critical to healthy functioning. And any kind of change within the system always starts with the individual first. Somebody that's willing to speak up when others are not. That's typically how it happens. Think of the women's suffrage movement. Everyone having access to the right to vote in the US. Somebody spoke up and ruffled some feathers to get that kind of stuff to happen. So, when we can be clear about the line between what's an opportunity to learn and what's a true threat, then we can be more confident and even bold when dealing with our crazy coworkers. It's like you can say, I'm ready to learn from this situation. And I know that I'm not in the behavior of or in the territory of a true threat. So it's my experience that when people learn to discern between when and who they are at their best and when they're experiencing normal human drama, and then when we can move into being curious about what's going on. And usually this takes some external support at first. What we thought of as crazy behavior can become some of the most important learning opportunities that we have. I think that there's so much potential here for discovering our capacity by going into this territory. So finally, it's also important to proactively cultivate your culture, like this picture of my garden, whether in an organization or whether in our families, that calls out people's best. And that's a decision that you ultimately make. I want to show up in a way that calls out your best. Am I behaving in a way that allows you to be your best so that we can have the capacity and the psychological safety to learn that's needed to learn from drama? So, this culture must include having a clear sense of who we are at our best, individually and collectively, and knowing what we're aiming for together. It's having that sense of, okay, we want to create whatever together. And your culture must also include clear boundaries, usually in the form of values, and a well-defined performance leadership process for a business that will help you navigate the line between what's acceptable and unacceptable behavior. And by unacceptable, I don't mean bad behavior. It's like this is behavior that we want or don't want to help serve what we're here to do together. So, bottom line, dealing with a crazy coworker doesn't who doesn't like you requires three things. The first thing is taking responsibility for how you're showing up. This is something that we go over and over again. The goal is to lead from your best and learn from drama. And this means not faking showing up at your best and saying you don't have any feelings when really you do. This is showing up where you honor both your best and your drama, your human self, best case before you engage your coworker. You want to get that sorted out within you before you deal with the crazy outside of you. The second thing is being willing to be open and curious with your crazy colleague to try and understand more about what's going on. This is what I did with that second conversation with my sister. I just need to understand more in a way where you're not bringing blame or judgment with you as much as you can. So, what's going on with them? And being genuine at this point is key. And then the last thing is, this is just, there's no other way to say it. It really doesn't matter whether they like you or not. You thinking that they don't like you is a projection of your fears. So until you have information that tells you otherwise, it's better to assume the best of others instead of the worst. Then once you get information like I did about my sister, how she was still feeling, it's like, oh yeah, there's not a whole lot I can do in this situation. If she um yeah, actually let's go to this next one here to talk about this. The example of my sister, my so-called crazy sister, she's not crazy at all. And we have been estranged for 7 years and 72 days. 72 days, 7 years, 72 days as of today. That conversation that I tried to get going with her after the initial 2 years after the initial upset, that's when she told me she abhors me. And so I decided not to push things. This at the time, I made it clear that further communication would not be viable until things from her end changed. That meant she has to deal with her feelings. So with my family and my husband and my children and my clients who are digging into IMX, these people are having major shifts. So I know what I'm bringing is helping people make really good progress. And I want to share with you. I'm going to take that out and I'm going to add.
The biggest impact for me now is the awareness of why would they be acting like that? Why would they ask that question? Where would they be coming from? I'm irritated, but why would they ask that? Maybe if I consider where they're coming from, I wouldn't be so irritated, right? Be more helpful and genuine. Just taking a pause to allow yourself to go into that questioning and openness. Like my big breakthrough is with my son. He's a senior, it's college app time. We've just been going at it. Of course, I did all the stuff in Gantt, all the things he had to get done so that everything's done well in advance, and handed it to him, and he didn't do shit.
Yeah.
Just earlier this week, we just had a big blowout. It was so uncomfortable. They're like, yeah, hang out there. I'm like, oh, I just want to pretend it didn't happen. But hanging out there for a minute made me think, where's he coming from? How that might have gone differently. And why were you so upset? It's not your college. And then you start thinking, because I just want to see him make the most of his opportunities. Of course, you want life to be as easy as possible for them. And he has some really fabulous opportunities. You don't want to see him wasted. And I'm like, well, maybe next time I could start with that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So it allowed me to see like a different approach. And so last night, we didn't talk about any specifics about college apps. We didn't talk about any to-do items. We just talked about where he's coming from and where I'm coming from. And it ended on a really good note. I had to let go of the control. That's really hard for me. I have your life figured out. Just trust me on this. And that was he's better at this stuff than I am. He spoke his truth. He's like, I don't need you to plan it for me. He's like, I'm okay with sharing with you, but you have to let me do my own plan.
Okay. So this is one of my clients who has been through the Define Your True Self course. That was a recording from at the very end, sharing what Lisa had gotten in her learning. The bottom line here is that you have to deal with your own crazy, in your own internal crazy, what I call drama, before you take on the crazy of your coworker. And it doesn't have to be a big, hairy, scary deal. Learn what it feels like to be at your best and lead from there, and be willing to learn from drama, yours first and then others. And then you can show up with your open and curious self to the crazies and see how creative you can get. And you'll be amazed at what's possible when someone is willing to engage and learn with you. And if they're not there, like my sister has not been there, you get to deal with that. So I'm going to skip the compass stuff and just go right into, because all of this ties into the IMX compass that we use. Let's go ahead at this point and go into the mindfulness practice. These intros are getting longer and longer. I have a lot to say. So just get comfortable, settled into your position. You can close your eyes or not. It's based all on what you want, what's comfortable for you, so that we can gently be with the idea of dealing with the crazy person who doesn't like you. And first, I want you to notice your breath and how, as you breathe, it connects you or can connect you with your entire body. Let yourself just slow down. The best way to access your best self is to create space to access it. And that takes slowing down, even if it's just a little bit. So, next, notice your energy. As you've noticed your breath, you can notice the energy of aliveness that's inside of you. And go ahead and let that energy drop down into the ground through the bottom of your feet so you can feel grounded. You personally need to feel safe to access your best self. It's just how your nervous system works. And being held by gravity and the earth and life, that's a signal to your nervous system that all is well. We're good here. So go ahead and notice your thoughts, how they can calm as you ground, maybe even just a little bit. And notice your feelings, any emotions, especially as you begin to think about whatever crazy thing you might be motivated to deal with. Notice the parts of you that feel good, the parts of your mind, your thoughts, your feelings, your body. Do a little check in here with your body. You can do a scan from head to toes. And notice where in your body you might be feeling some pain or tension. Just pick one place. If there's several, just go ahead and pick that one and maybe go ahead and touch that part of your body like you're giving it a hug. I'm hugging my belly. And now I want you to bring to mind a part of your body that feels good. My heart is feeling very open today. So good. It's feeling good, open, good, good, good. Now bring your attention back to the place where you were feeling tension. I'm in my belly. And now you can pendulate or flip back and forth between feeling good, like my heart, wherever that is for you, and feeling discomfort, belly. Just go back and forth, back and forth. This is pendulation. Best part, drama part. Best part, drama part. Now I want you to think about dealing with this crazy person and notice what you're feeling in your body specific to that situation. Notice what thoughts arise that are uncomfortable as you think about this. What are some thoughts that are coming up? This person is being unreasonable, or I wish I didn't have to deal with this, or this family member is so frustrating, whatever. Notice if you can feel that discomfort somewhere in your body, like your body is connected to that discomfort in your mind. There's always a connection here. Oftentimes, conflict can lead to digestive discomfort. So just pick one place if there are several again, and let's go ahead and touch that part of your body. Could be your lower back, it could be your shoulders, whatever. Just whatever you're noticing. Be aware of whatever thought is associated with the situation. Like, I'm so stressed out about this crazy situation. Just notice your body, notice the thought. And now bring your attention to a part of your body again that feels good. Good, good, good. Your heart or wherever. And be aware of a thought that feels good, like it feels good to be alive, or there's always enough energy. A thought that is real and true for you. Now bring your attention back to the place of discomfort and the place that feels good. Discomfort, drama, good, best self. Just pendulate back and forth. So, pendulation is one of many tools that you can use to orient yourself more so into your best self so that you can lead from your best. So allow yourself to really sink into, after pendulating, what it feels like to be coming from, to show up from your best. Let yourself feel what that feels like to be like standing in your best, feeling your best. And let's come back to this beautiful human being that you've been calling crazy and honestly consider what is in this situation a true threat, actually? What's truly a true threat? So, if you are in a position of power and authority in a family, that would be an original family member. In a business, it would be a um, someone higher up in the hierarchy, frankly. You may be bringing threat to the situation. So you could be shutting it down. You could be refusing to engage. You could be, that's bringing threat to the situation and othering the other person, blaming them, judging them, out, making them an outcast. So be honest with yourself as you can about what you're bringing. Just take a deep breath as you're doing this. Nobody's bad or wrong here. So I'm just going to ask you some questions now, and there's no judgment as I'm asking these questions. Are you willing to learn from this situation? Are you willing to take responsibility for the part you've played in creating this situation? Are you willing to see something more than your personal likes and dislikes? Are you willing to be curious with this person or this situation that you've been calling crazy? So, these kinds of questions and your willingness to take responsibility and be curious and learn about yourself. And then with others, this is how you create a psychologically safe environment. You go first. And to do this, you have to be confident in your ability to set boundaries as needed. Like with my sister, it was like, no, it's not okay for you to continue projecting this, these, whatever it is, onto me. And then now you can ask the same from the other person and see whether they are willing to take responsibility and be curious. You'll just have to see, and people are going to be where they're going to be. So keep your attention in this moment on you and your internal state. Notice your breath. Notice that feeling good part inside of you that is your best self, that's always here no matter what is going on. Let yourself anchor back into your breath, feeling safe. You get to bring this with you, your best, calling out the best in others. So each person will need to take responsibility for the drama they are bringing to the situation to varying degrees. Some people do it just a little, some more than that. And this doesn't necessarily look like being perfectly rational. There's going to be feelings. It's okay for it to get messy. It's gonna get messy. So I want you to know that you will continue to create patterns from past relationship experiences until you step out of the patterns that you're creating. And that doesn't mean that you or the other person are crazy. It just means that you're human. Notice your breath again and take a deep one. And give your human self a hug. It is time to allow ourselves to be human. And it starts with me and it starts with you. So, what's important is to keep working on seeing the best in each other, learning from drama, not making each other bad and wrong for being human. And go ahead and do a body scan again from head to toes. Simply notice how you're feeling. If you're feeling more tension in this moment, I'm noticing some stuff showing up. Just know that that's things moving. It means we got things moving with this mindfulness practice, and that's good. You might want to go take a walk outside after this to make sure it keeps moving. Okay, so go ahead and open your eyes if you've had them closed. And my invitation for you is to bring as much openness and curiosity to the craziness in the world as you can, and this willingness to learn for yourself. Um, I haven't seen any questions come up in the live stream. There may be questions from the recording, so please add those to the comment. And of course, I would love for you to like this event, like the recording, if you enjoyed the experience. And of course, all questions are welcome. Thank you so much for being here. as I explored this topic. Next Monday is Labor Day, so I'm not going to do a mini mindful moment then, but I'll pick it up on the Monday after that. Okay, take care. Bye bye.